Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. There's a recipe for pork stroganoff. Okay, so while you see me slicing up some vegetables, I'm going to explain this dish. Stroganoff, Russian dish. It's believed that the first creation of this was when a French chef working for a Russian family won a competition, beef with soured cream, and he named it, as was tradition at the time, after the family who employed him. So they were a very influential Russian family called the Stroganovs. That makes sense, doesn't it? There are recordings of dishes similar to it a bit early, going back to possibly the mid-19th century. Beef with sour cream props up every now and again, and the Russe Gastronomic in 1938 kind of really set it in stone. But the recipes are all different. All the research I do, they all seem to be different. I am replacing beef with pork for this one because we had a nice little bit of pork fillet from the butcher and thought, well, let's use that. But traditionally beef, this recipe really only works with lean cuts, loin, this particular one, because we're not going to cook the meat for a long time. What I want to do is remove the silver skin. Silver skin will, if you don't remove it, it won't tenderize, and whatever meat you put in there, it's going to curl up. So to get it off, just get your tip of your knife under it. There's only a little bit come off there. Angle it ever so slightly upwards so that you don't remove too much of the nice pork in this case, and just work all the way along. I'm having to get myself in a bit of a funny shape there so you can see what I'm doing, but hopefully you can. Do not worry about taking off any fat that's on it. Fat is good, but the silver skin is not very good. So that's the silver skin removed. There's a little bit left on that piece there. That is the chain. That's a connective muscle that's on the fillet, and it is just really nice as well, so let's not waste it. And I've decided to go for strips rather than a dice, completely up to you. And then I'm just working out what size I'm going to do. There we go, that's about right. And we'll carry on cutting. Got myself in a little bit of a muddle thinking, is that too big? Is that too big? Should I go a bit smaller? Should I go a bit smaller? Let's go a bit smaller. And the rest of them like that. Completely up to you. Now for this recipe, I'm deciding, because I want this to be a quick cook one, I'm not dusting in flour. You can do. And then if you're using a cut of meat that wants longer to cook, you can cook it for longer with the stock and let it simmer away, and the flour will thicken the sauce and it'll be very, very nice. But I'm going for a much simpler, literally from pan to plate in less than 20 minutes or so. Very hot pan, oil went in, it's shimmering, it's very hot. There's the sizzle, and come on, autofocus, come back, there you go. Came back. I'm doing this pork, I'm just browning it at this stage. I want to create a nice depth of flavour. That's what the browning will do. A couple of minutes with it heat on medium high to get a nice deep golden brown colour. Then I'm going to flip them over and just give them another sort of 10 to 20 seconds on the other side and then get them out. Butter there just for extra flavour as well. Tossing it there thinking, well, that will help me turn over 50% of them in one go, and it didn't. And then I couldn't pick up that one little difficult piece there, but yeah, eventually we got there. And that's coming out now. Another batch to go with a different angle. Oh, and the butter. Oh, I love butter. It makes everything a bit better. Look at that colour as well. Gorgeous. So I didn't toss them this time. I thought, well, it's probably just as quick doing it this way. So that's the pork done. Decide to go mushrooms separately from the onions. You could probably put it all in together, but I think the mushrooms take, for me, a little bit longer to cook. Now these mushrooms are field mushrooms. I think they're far more flavoursome than the button mushrooms. Your finished dish will be a kind of more brown colour, which I happen to really like, because these really do leak out colour. So it's up to you. You can leave mushrooms out if you don't like them. You can put some peppers in, or courgettes. You can sort of do this really however you like it. It's more of a technique. Yeah, I have a bit of a issue with butter. I love it. It goes in everything almost. So they've released some water. It's steamed off a bit. So I've decided let's put the garlic and the sliced onions in. And if you don't put paprika in it, I think you can't really call it a stroganoff, can you? That's a slightly hot paprika, not a sweet one, not a smoked one, but any paprika you like. Give it a nice toss like that. Tons of black pepper. And now we're going to be ready for some white wine. You don't have to do this, you can just do it with stock. I like the white wine, I think it gives another flavour to it. But I want to really reduce this down now, so I'm going to cook this on its own without anything else until that white wine is reduced to more of a glaze, really, so sort of a damp pan. That means all the alcohol is cooked off, any rawness is gone. Nice bit of homemade chicken stock going in there. You can check out my recipe for that if you like. And I'm deciding I'm going to put in some of the sour cream, but I'm keeping some back for later on. That's Worcestershire sauce, or Worcester sauce. Don't get confused by the spelling, folks. Worcester happens to be the capital of Worcestershire, in England, where I live. Not far from where I live, anyway. Bit wet at this stage. Now, obviously, if we'd have been using a more slow cooking joint of meat, beef or pork, with the flour would have thickened the sauce, but I just want to reduce it now. Reduce the flavour, concentrate the flavour, and now we are just about there. I'm putting in half of the pickle in there, half of the parsley. That way it's going to put a bit more flavour into it, but also I want to put a bit on the top afterwards for garnish to make it look more nice and snazzy. That's the pork strips along with the resting juices. Don't throw those resting juices off, we will not be friends if you do that. And I thought it looks a tad dry, so tiny little splash of water. Simmer that for another minute or so. Move it all around, get all those flavours fully acquainted with each other. Oh, yum. Time to serve. Serve it in a bowl. This made 2 nice big portions. I'm sure you could stretch this out to a family of 4 with this one, but you know, we're pigs in this house. And there we go. Dollop of sour cream on the top. Some more of the pickle, or gherkin as we call it over here. And some parsley. And I thought, yeah, a little bit of that paprika would be nice. And of course, a little bit of rice with it. And what do you think it's like? Well, it's absolutely delicious. How could it not be? So as you see me get stuck into that, I just want to say thank you really for watching another episode of Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I really appreciate you being here. If you just discovered me, hello. If you wouldn't mind pressing that subscribe button, that would be absolutely awesome. And I'll catch you in the next video coming really soon. Bye.